Black History Month is nothing to be proud about. Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, ahchyam, Yahweh Shai, ahchyam, Rakha. All praises and glory be to our precious power Yahweh and our precious Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai. Double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well. Peace, and as always, salutations to the Lord's elect, pushing the truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. This is the brother Yashamai coming back at you with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh, ahchyam, Yahweh Shai. And I wanted to do a response video to a video that was uploaded by the brother Manak Zakba from South Carolina. Okay. And in this video, you see no other than the so-called black woman. You know, they're doing too much. And it's not just the so-called black woman. It's also the so-called black man who got his head up the so-called black woman's ass. You see, simping and following after her. You know, and Black History Month is all about uplifting and celebrating the leaders of whom Esau, Edom have set up to further mislead, deceive, and draw our people away from our power, who is Yahweh and our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai. And these men and women of whom was set up by the government, you know, Esau, Edom, who controls the government. These men were a bunch of sellouts, and they basically sold our people out. Case in point, Martin Luther King. Okay, he's honored amongst our people by tens of millions, hundreds of millions of our people. He is honored. Why? Because he gave a speech talking about he had a dream that black and white people could come together and get along and, you know, live in peace and harmony together. And really, all he did was for further put our people to sleep. Because prior to that speech he gave, our people was highly aware of who the devil and who the enemy was. But then he come out with this speech, I have a dream that black and white people will come together and live in harmony and peace together. And then one day we'll drink from the same water fountain and use the same bathrooms and all this other madness, you know. And all he did was further rock our people to sleep. Okay. And we all know what the Lord said about that dreamer of dreams, right? And guess what? He surely died. Okay. So Martin Luther King was no more than a sellout. He worked for the government. And if you notice, Black History Month is all about uplifting the people of whom the Black History Month is all about, you know, Esau, Edom, you know, commemorating and really, you know, celebrating the people of whom he set up to further put our people in a deeper state of mind. And by these leaders, The only thing that happened was us being led even further into the captivity of our minds. These various leaders of whom the Lord had, these various leaders of whom Esau, Edom, Salakia, that's what I meant to say. These various different leaders of who Esau, Edom have set up to lead our people. Okay, these different leaders have done nothing but put further chains on the minds of our people. Okay, and with that plantation Christianity, it has done nothing but caused our people to forgive the enemy for what they've done to us during the time of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade, and even going back to the Greeks when they rose up to power, to the Greco-Roman Empire, to the Roman Empire, even all the way up to the Renaissance period when they released viruses and diseases on us like the Black Plague, the Black Death. You can look into that. Diseases that was released on us in Europe during the Renaissance period, to what the conquistadors and the Spaniards and the English Dutch mercenaries did to the so-called natives of this land. Martin Luther King came in the spirit of forgive and forget forgive and forget the past. Meanwhile, what does it say in the scriptures? The Lord required that which is past. And what did Peter say in the book of I believe it's 1 Peter? He said that I may stir up your pure minds by the way of remembrance. What did the Lord say? The Lord wants vengeance. So what did Martin Luther King really do for a nation? Really, he did nothing but further put even more chains on the minds of our people, bringing them even further into the mental captivity. Okay, Malcolm X, he was into that Islamic crap. Okay, he was calling himself I believe he was calling himself Islamic. So he wasn't right. Harriet Tubman. Okay, the woman that led the slaves underneath the tunnel, she was set up. She was set up by the slave master to really to lead the slaves further into captivity. So she was set up. She didn't do anything special. But you see, this is what Black history is all about. Uplifting and commemorating the men that further led us into the captivity of our mind and drawing us further away from our power, Yahweh, and our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai. So really, you shouldn't be celebrating Black History Month, because you're basically celebrating the sellouts that basically led you further into captivity. Furthermore, when we go into the word black from google.com,
black,
it says of the very darkest color, owing to the absence or complete absorption of light, the opposite of white. So if you notice, it said the absence of light, and that's really what the word black means. The word black means void of light. Now, there's no such thing as a black person. And you know what's funny? They even give you an example of what black look like. Nobody is this color. Ain't nobody on the planet this color. We are different shades of brown. Now let's read some other definitions to show you where they're going off. Then I'll get Deuteronomy. Okay. So the second definition says what? Belonging to or denoting a human group having dark colored skin. And that's where they went off at. Because there's a difference between having dark colored skin and being black. Now, is there a such thing as a spiritually black person? Yeah. And ultimately, the so-called white man is the true black person. All you got to do is look at his works in the past. Look at what he's doing to the world and to the animals of the planet and to the environment and to the atmosphere. Chemtrails, geoengineering, HARP, the manipulation of weather, systematic famines, human experimentations, animal experimentations, we can't forget about Agent Orange. We can't forget about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We can't forget about Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they dropped those bombs on our people that had a establishment going for themselves. We can't forget about that, right? Only a black person would do that, right? Only a black person would dump trash in the ocean, dump nuclear waste and toxins in the oceans, causing beach and seals and all manner of sea creatures to beach themselves. Only a black person would chop down thousands of acres of forests just to set up new factories of corporate. Only a black person would do that. Because they're void of light. A person who's filled with light, which, well, according to John, the first chapter, we know who the light is, right? That's Yahushua. He's the light. So if you don't have Yahushua in you, spiritually, you are black, but not physically. There's no such thing as a physical black person. Having dark skin is not the same as black. This would not be considered dark color skin. This is black right here. That's black. Ain't nobody on the planet this color. So we are not black people. And there's no such thing as a black Hebrew Israelite. And there's no such thing as a white person. Okay? Like you see the color of the text on this screen? That's white. You see the color of this this word Google up here? That's white. Ain't nobody on the planet white. There's no such thing as a black or white person. Okay? Black or white came from Esau, Edom. And ultimately, he really did that to hide their identity as well as our identity. Before we were called black, right? We were being called niggers, right? Right? We were being called, and then we went from that to being called Negroes. And then we went, which Negro is Spanish for black. Okay? Nigger is Latin for black. Except, those are just offensive words. And then we went from that to being called colored folks. And then we went from that to being called African Americans. And then we went from that to being called black. And there's no such thing as a physically black person. And really, black or white was really used to push white supremacy. Because you look at the color white and what does it mean? Pure, innocent, clean. And really, when you think about it, there's really no white person on this planet. Even in the Holy Scriptures, it tells us that our righteousness are as filthy rags. So we really have no right to call ourselves clean, innocent, pure from evil. None of that. Now, when the elect gets beamed up into those chariots, spiritually, they are going to be made white. Because they're going to be pure from what? Sin. They're going to be pure from sin. Okay? So once the elect gets those glorious bodies, they're never going to sin again. They're going to be made pure from sin. They're going to be made pure from evil. Because the law, statutes, and commandments is going to be in their inward part. Then the elect can say that spiritually they are white. But anyways, dark colored skin is not the same as black. Okay? An example of dark colored skin would be different shades of brown. And a matter of fact, right, show you that this man, Esau Edom, is the devil, right? Let's type in dark color skin. Okay. Let's type in, just one moment, cause Satan is at work here. Dark color skin. Then I'm gonna hit enter here. So forgive me, my laptop is slow. So let's type in dark color skin and let's see if that matches black. Okay, that's a very, very, very dark brownish color. Okay, that's not the same as black. Oops, hold on, let's do this. Okay, what do you see right here? Different shades of brown. Okay, this picture has been modified, but even she would be considered a very, very dark brownish color. Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, his skin color was described as being what is that? Fine brass, as if it burned in a furnace. What happens when you burn brass in a furnace? It's going to come out a very dark brownish color. Okay? Okay, look at that. Very, very dark brown color. That's not black. That's a very dark brownish color. Different shades of brown. Okay, you see her right there? That's a very dark brownish color. That's not black. We've seen the color black. Okay, you see that? That's a very dark brownish color. Okay, you see her? You see this? Let's enlarge this picture real quick. That's a very, very, very dark brownish color. Okay, you can clearly see that's a very, very dark brownish color. Now you see where my cursor's at? That's black. You see her skin color? That's not black. That's a very, very dark brownish color. Different shades of brown. You got light brown. You have very light brown. You have very, very, very light brown, which some people would say is light skinned. Then you have brown. You have golden brown skin. Like me, my skin color is kind of like a caramel golden brownish color. Okay. You see this person right here? That's a very brownish. That's a very dark brownish color. See this woman in the middle? Very dark brownish. That's not black. You see this woman's hair right here? That's black. Her skin color is not black. Her skin is brown. Okay. You see this guy right here? As you can see, he's a very, very, very dark brownish color. You see this person right here? Very, very, very dark brownish. You see this person's hair? That's black. Okay? So I'm pretty sure I've made my point. Ain't no such thing as a black person on here. So where do they get this idea that dark skin is black? Dark skin is not black. Okay? Okay? Very, very dark brownish color. See? This person right here? Very, very, very dark brownish color. Okay? Very, very, very dark brownish color, as you see right here. Okay? This woman, very, very dark brown skinned color. What the? You see? This woman and this woman look the same, right? It's probably the same person. Okay. Once again, forgive me, my laptop is being slow. See, you can look at her and tell that her skin is a very, very, very dark brownish color. You know, you can even see some of the brown shining off her skin. Okay. Now and again, you see where my cursor's at? That's black. She's nowhere near this color. That's a very, very, very dark brownish color. Okay, so the point has been made. So where do they get this idea that dark skin is black? You know, let's check that out. You see the color of this woman's hair? That's black. You see the color of her skin? That's not the same color as her hair. No, this woman has very, very, very dark brownish color, which the melanin in your skin is what makes your skin dark skinned. Okay, so let's go back to all. So actually the point pretty much has been made, so I don't need to go back to that. Let's get some scriptures, okay? Because prior to us going into captivity, right, the Lord have forewarned us as to what would happen if we did not obey his laws, statutes, and commandments. And a part of what the Lord said, what will happen to us, the Hebrew Israelites, which are you so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. And there's a reason why we say so-called. We're not saying so-called to sound technical. We're not saying so-called to sound smart or intelligent. We're not saying so-called to make ourselves sound like we're on some kind of different level. We say so-called because that's not our true nationality. We're not Negroes, we're not Latinos, and we're not Mexicans. According to the Holy Scriptures, we are the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? We are Ibar Yashar Allah, which Ibar is how you say Hebrew. Okay? The Hebrew word for Hebrew is Ibar. Okay? We are Ibar Yashar Allah, meaning Hebrew Israelite. Or you could say Yashar Allah Ibar, because back in the ancient world, we used to read from left to right. But in this society, right, we read from right to left. Show you that Esau Edom has everything turned upside down. So let's go to Deuteronomy, because the Lord said that if we didn't keep his laws, statutes, or commandments which he have given us, that all these curses shall come upon us and overtake us. So we're going to go to Deuteronomy. Let's start at Deuteronomy 28 verse 15. Okay. Deuteronomy 28 verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So from Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 16 on down are the following curses that the Lord said will come upon the nation of Israel if we did not keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. Now let's check out one of the curses that the Lord said will come upon us. Let's scroll down to Deuteronomy 28 and somewhere within the 40th verse. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me see. So let's type in Central F and let's type in proverb. Okay, and in a matter of fact, it's better if I look this up in a Blue Letter Bible just so I can look into the definition. blueletterbible.org. Okay, blueletterbible.org. So let's go to the blueletterbible.org and type in Deuteronomy 28 verse. I didn't see the exact verse. It could be 48, but I'm just do this. So give it some time here. This laptop is slow. Because what I'm going to do is I am going to look up proverb and I'm going to look up byword to get the definitions for it. Okay? So, give it some time here, man. This laptop is at work. Okay, let's see. So let's hit Central F here. And let's look for it. Save some time. Okay, so Deuteronomy 28 verse 37, and this is one of the curses that the Lord said will come upon us. Okay, for not keeping his law, statutes, and commandments, and ultimately for forsaking his ways. Deuteronomy 28 verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. You see that? So the Lord said that we would become a proverb, and to be called, and for you to be called anything outside of your nationality will be considered a proverb and a byword. So if you're being called African American, that's a proverb. And why is that? Because first off, how can you be two races at once? Okay, first off, the people over there in the land of Africa are not even Africans, okay? They will be known as Hamites. The Holy Scriptures calls them Hamites. They are Hamitic people. So where does the name African or Africa come from? It comes from a Roman general who conquered Hannibal and took over those regions. And when he conquered and took over those regions, he named that continent was named after him. And the name of that Roman general was, his name was Lucio Scipius Africanus, or Lucio, I believe his name was not Lucio, Lucius Scipio Africanus, if I'm saying that correctly. Lucius Scipio Africanus. You know, I can always type it in on the search bar, but yeah, I know that his last name was Africanus. Okay, he was a Roman general, an Edomite. His name was Lucius Scipio Africanus. And after he defeated Hannibal, he took over that region, and that land was named after him. Just like Asia. Asia comes from a Roman general. Okay? Okay, his last name was Asiaticus. I forgot his full name. I'm gonna have to re-look into it again. Okay. But let's look into proverb here, you know. And then you got the word America. America comes from who? America comes from a cartographer, an explorer. He was an explorer who went by the name of Amerigo Vespucci. America's the feminine way of saying Amerigo. So how can you be an African and be an Edomite? It don't make sense. So there's no such thing as an African American. That was invented by Esau Edom, the so-called white man. Okay? You know, Latino. Okay? Okay, you Puerto Ricans, you Mexicans, you Brazilians, you Argentinians, you Panamanians, you Guatemalans, you Mexicans, okay, you Dominicans, okay, you're not Latinos, okay, you're Hebrew Israelites. But again, that's a proverb and a byword that was put upon you to hide you from your true nationality. So let's look at the proverb here. So let's see, we got mashal, right, for proverb. And a parable, right? What is a parable? A parable is a saying or a statement or a name to replace something. What is it? It's a parable is basically a name, a statement, or a phrase to replace the name of the original object for something else. So, like for an example, right? In the Holy Scriptures refers to people as trees. That's a parable. You know? But it won't say that, you know, these people which are trees. No, it's going to say it's going to say, you know, the trees said, you know, this and that, and at first you're going to be like, wait a minute, trees can talk? That's not what it's talking about. The trees is a parable for people. You see? So a parable is a phrase, a statement, or a name to replace an object or a person for its original name. Okay? So instead of people, you would say trees, right? In order to hide what you're trying to say. Okay? It said proverbial saying, aphorism, byword, similitude, parable, poem, sentence of ethical wisdom, ethical maxims. Okay, so just real quick, right? Let's go to Google and let's type in parable. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type in what is a parable. Then I'll go back to that. Okay, what is a parable? What is a parable? Let's see. I'm just going to tell you. A name, phrase, or statement to replace the original name of an object, person, or thing. Just like in the book of Genesis, right? The crafty and subtle man was called a serpent who beguiled Eve. Now, and if you didn't know that was a parable, you would think it was talking about an actual serpent that talked to a woman. No, that serpent was a parable for a subtle and crafty man. Okay. What is a parable? Simple definition. Let's see. Let's look for this. Let's see what the Merriam-Webster dictionary have to say about parable. Because we know that Yahushua used to tell parables. That's obvious. But what is a parable? Okay. Okay. So let's see. Something such as a news story or a series of real events likened to a parable and providing an instructive example or lesson. You know, they don't really give you any proper understanding. They don't really, not understanding, they don't really give you a proper something cast alongside. See? Because a story is what? Just a series of statements. But it's never the long parables, usually short for fictional, illustrate a moral attitude, a way to convey a moral, transcending principles, and allegoric story that people could understand and relate to. That's a good one. Illustrate one or more instructive lessons. Okay. That teaches a religious and moral lesson. Okay. So these are all good definitions. Which a story is just a series of statements, you know, which ultimately it's a series of metaphoric statements. Okay, that's what a parable is. It is a series of metaphoric statements. Like when Yahushua said that the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a householder or a man that went on a long journey and he entrusts his field. I'm just roughly paraphrasing. But a parable is basically a series of metaphoric statements that can add up into a story that basically, because when you speak metaphorically, right, in a parabolic story, you're basically referring to something that replaces something else. So instead of Yahushua saying the angels, he referred to the angels as reapers. You know, he referred to the world, he referred to the field as the world, right? And then, you know, he spoke about the tares in the wheat. The tares in the wheat was a metaphoric statement for what? It was a metaphoric statement to replace that he was talking about, you know, the Israelites, which is the good seed, and the tares, which are, you know, children that look like Israelites, but their father's lineage really goes back to a heathen, or especially an Edomite. So you see, a parable is just a series of metaphoric statements or names or phrases in a story, you know, that replaces the name of the original persons, objects, or things. So that's pretty much the point. Let's go back here, right? Let's go back here. Because when Yahushua gave a parable, he always spoke metaphorically, which is why people couldn't understand what he was saying. You know, just like when Yahushua said, every tree that bringeth forth not good fruit is hewn down and cast in the fire. You know? Now, was he talking about actual trees? No. Okay, those trees was talking about actual people. But he was speaking metaphorically when he said that. So that was a parable. Okay? So that's a proverb, right? So, you know, instead of being called by our actual nationality, which is the fact that we're Hebrew Israelites, right? Well, what are the names that are being used to replace what we are really supposed to be called? Those names are what? Black, African American, Latino, Mexicanos, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Native Indian, West Indian, which the word Indian means savage. You see? So these are all proverbs. These are all proverbs and bywords that were put upon us to hide our true nationality from us. And the Lord said that this will happen. So now, let's go into the word byword, right? So the Lord said that we will be a byword. Okay. Strong's 8,148. So a byword, let's look up. So the Lord said that we will be a proverb and a byword. Let's look up byword. So Black History Month, those are just proverbs and bywords to further keep our people asleep. And the reason why Esau Edom threw that Black History Month garbage out there was so our people could continue to believe that they're black. Okay? So what do you see right here? You see taunt, byword. See, so the Hebrew word for byword is Shana Yana. Shana Yana. Okay? Shana Yana. Which you see right there. And what do you see down here? Sharp word, sharp cutting word. Okay, you see down here, you see taunt. So you see gibe. Let's look into gibe. Let's see. Define gibe. What is gibe? Okay. Let's see. Define gibe.
Jibe.
So, let's go to Google and type in gibe. Let me see. Gibe definition. Check that out. This is what a gibe is. This is what the Lord said what will happen to us. An insulting or mocking remark, a taunt. So to be called a West Indian, that's a insulting or mocking remark. They're calling you a West Savage. When you call yourself a Native Indian, you're calling yourself a Native Savage. That's an insulting or mocking remark. Okay, it says make insulting or mocking remarks, jeer. Okay, and what do you see down here? You see scoff, you see sneer, you see taunt, jeer. Okay, so that's what a gibe is. Just real quick.
Jibe.
Okay, jibe. That's how you pronounce it. It's called jibe. Okay. Like, you ever heard the term, you jibe turkey? Well, there you go. You insulting, mocking turkey. Okay, a taunt. So when they call you black, which the word black means what? It means void of light. It means filthy, defiled, wicked. That's an insulting remark. To call yourself black, that's an insulting remark. But the Lord said that this would happen to the Israelites. You know? You know? So the Lord said that we will be a proverb and a byword. That's why when you fill out an application, you're forced to either say that you're African American or black, even though you're not. So it's, you know. Taunt. So they're taunting you. They're taunting you with when they say Black History Month. Void of Light History Month. Oh dear, man. We got to get up out of here. So let's go back up here. Deuteronomy 28 verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. Now, let's go to Jeremiah. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 4. Let's see what the Lord had to say about. Let's see what the Lord had to say. Because the Lord said this will happen to our people. Jeremiah 17 and 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. Right. Because at one point, we used to live in the land of Israel. Okay? Until we were forced to flee for Roman persecution in 70 AD when Titus attacked Jerusalem, which fulfilled the prophecy of when Yahweh said, when you shall see the abomination that maketh desolate, then flee ye to the mountains. Okay? And what did Yahweh mean by flee to the mountains? Again, that's a metaphoric saying. The mountains is a representation of the land of Africa. Okay? Because when we fled out of the land of Israel during the Roman persecution, a lot of us fled into Africa and we migrated to the western parts of Africa. That's why during the transatlantic slave trade, right? Where did they the ship? Where did all the slave masters on the ships go to when they went to Africa? They went to the western part of Africa. Why? How did they know that? They read the scriptures. Okay? They knew that our people migrated to the western parts of Africa. And just like that, a lot of us, when we was living in the western part of Africa, you know, we were rounded up by those Hamites, those Africans, because we are not the same people. Okay? We, the Hebrew Israelites, and those Africans who are really Hamites, descendants of Ham, we're not the same people. And the so-called white man will tell you that in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. But anyways, the Africans, they rounded us up and they sold us to the so-called white man. Okay? So we did not know anything about America until we was brought over here on slave ships. So that's why the Lord said what? He said, I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. You see that? Because we did not know anything about America. Not until we was brought over here on slave ships. Okay? And what did the Lord say? He said, I will cause thee to serve thine enemies. Didn't we not serve our slave masters when we came over here on slave ships? Because according to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the Lord said that the Lord would bring us into Egypt again with ships. And America is the new Egypt. You see? Okay? It says, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. And that just means for a time, for a certain period of time. Okay? So, where does this Black History Month come from? It really comes from the so-called white man. Our enemy has sown that in the minds of our people. And by you commemorating and celebrating Black History Month, you're celebrating the leaders that basically misled our people and led our people further into captivity. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's get that in Isaiah. Okay, Isaiah chapter 9, verse 16. Okay, it says Isaiah 9 and 16, for the leaders of this people, okay, and our modern day leaders are not helping our people. I'm talking about our modern day leaders outside of the truth. They're not helping our people. And as a matter of fact, they're telling our people to take the juice. They're telling our people to comply with Esau's New World Order. They're telling our people that Esau can make it, and there's mermaids, and you got to be a fool not to take the charagma. You got Al Sharpton, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar. You got all these various different leaders who are no more than sellouts, just like Martin Luther King, just like Malcolm X, just like Harriet Tubman, and all of these other past so-called leaders that was set up to lead our people. For the leaders of this people cause them to error, and they that are led of them are destroyed. And how come they're destroyed? Because these leaders, these worldly leaders, which was presented to you by Esau Edom, that was set up by the government, they did not come to you with the presentation of the truth, the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Holy Scriptures. Because they did not tell you you were Hebrew Israelites and that you need to come back to the Heavenly Father Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. They didn't tell you that. They told you that you got to get along with your enemy. You got to hold his hand. You got to forgive them for slavery and forgive and forget. Move on and blase, and they do something wrong to you, forgive them. Hug them. Blase. Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Why? Because thou hast rejected knowledge. The knowledge is being presented to you right now. Especially when we go out on the highways and hedges and teach. That's the knowledge being presented to you. The knowledge of the Holy Scriptures. Because how to do good, that's based on the knowledge in the Holy Scriptures. Okay? And you can learn how to do good by observing the law, statutes, and commandments. Because they have rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power. I will also forget thy children. Okay? So our people have no knowledge because the leaders that were set up to lead our people did not come with the knowledge of the Holy Scriptures. That they came with the presentation of, you got to make it in this society and, get yourself a good job and get out, which there's nothing wrong with having a good job. But if you have a good job just to become the next big shot in society, you're in the wrong spirit. Because the scriptures tell you that everything here is temporal and it's going to be annihilated. But anyways, I don't want to make this video too long. You know, there's nothing to be proud about concerning Black History Month. With that, I'm going to say shalom. So on to the next one. If the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch.